Welcome to another episode of Ruff Talk VR, a weekly podcast with in-depth game reviews, exclusive developer interviews, and the latest MetaQuest and virtual reality news. We join our hosts, the father-son team of D. Scruffles and Stratus today, as they spend another episode breaking down and discussing the world of virtual reality.
Hey, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR, coming at you with a game review, something that started as the center theme of our podcast and has slowly drifted to probably our least frequently done episode.
Go figure.
It's funny how
That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't... Am I wrong, though? We do news and interviews pretty much weekly.
2023 was a lot more news and
especially interviews. We really
Can't
went
say
heavy.
no.
I mean, there was one point where we recorded 8 interviews in 10 days or something stupid.
Yeah, it was almost an interview a day.
Mm-hmm. We're doing them on Mondays. It was ridiculous, but
Breaking
again,
all our own rules here.
yes, the OG principle of the show is game reviews. So we have some catching up to do. We have a couple on the agenda, and one that we're doing today is actually a nominee for our VR Game of the Year this year. We're talking about Assassin's Creed Nexus VR, a full-fledged VR game in the Assassin's Creed series. I don't even want to say a VR spin-off. It's a full-fledged Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, dude. There was,
16 chapters.
Leading into it, the expectations I had on it were pretty serious, because it's I've mentioned it numerous times. I'll say it again. Because I subscribe to the Ubisoft Take My Money Every Month program, I get access to it's literally every Ubisoft game. So that every single Assassin's Creed is there.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the middle ones, been there, done that. But the newer ones, I really wanted to play. So you always have an expectations of I want to be able to climb. I better be able to climb.
Beautiful
Am I going to be able to
sceneries.
do parkour challenges?
There better be realistic environments.
Is my weaponry going to be I'm familiar with? Because now this will be the first time that I'm not pressing a button to activate shit. I'm actually going to be. We'll save it for the final result. But dude, I got to give. Ubisoft is the first that I've seen come into the meta space or meta quest space, because meta's so.
Yeah, the VR space.
The VR in
meta ecosystem, yes.
Mark Zuckerberg's company.
We've seen
to dumb it down.
We've seen other AAA developers, notably EA, with Respawn and Code Breakers through Medal of Honor and Grid Legends.
Yeah,
neither delivered in the way that Assassin's
not
Creed
with
Nexus.
the expectations of the studios that you just brought up with their names behind it.
Mm-hmm.
No, you have a pretty damn good. Although I don't think nowadays anybody's upset or surprised with EA.
No,
It's there's varying they're a stock market, but I love EA though.
But
I have a lot of their games.
Before we get too carried away, I do, like we always like to do, developer, publisher, ratings, and review. And I have to put a little note in the developer and publisher. On the store page, it says it's developed and published by Ubisoft, which is correct. But to be fair, the Ubisoft owned studio that made Assassin's Creed Nexus is Red Storm Entertainment. And they deserve so much credit for what they put forward with this. Their name's not on the store page. I was a little surprised by it.
No, they got paid a lot of money.
They're okay. They're
page.
Ubisoft. They're Ubisoft. It's a Ubisoft owned studio in the end, but Red Storm Entertainment, again, they didn't half-ass Assassin's Creed VR title. They really put a lot.
Why it took so long.
Yeah, and look, it's got a 4.3 overall on the official MetaQuest store right now, but it has 2,551 total ratings and 1,587 written reviews. And that number was going up as we were looking at it. We wrote it down. We went to go confirm it, 30 minutes later, and it was up by 2.
Which is good.
Yeah. And just to be fair, too, the game only did just come out on November 16th. So about a month and a half, it's already at 2,500 ratings. That's pretty intense. And it's $39.99 on the official MetaQuest store. So one of the more expensive games for sure, but this is a big franchise.
expensive, yes, but in comparison to flat screen, on par or no?
It's cheaper than a new flat screen Assassin's Creed game for sure. What would that be? $60? And look, this one's 16 chapters. Yeah, all new games are $60.
No, not at all. Because what they do is they give you this is genius the way they do this, but you can get the game for like $30, let's say, but then you can get the gold edition for an extra $10. You can get the platinum edition for like an extra $10. So yes, you can spend $60 on any new game, but not a lot of them are coming out of the gate at 60. They're giving you like this, you won't get this pack, where you won't have access to the skin.
I'm surprised they didn't wave that in front of us with this one with like, extra missions and stuff like that.
I don't think they dared.
Yeah.
Gamble. I mean, they're fucking, they've been around since the 80s, man.
And
so,
you know what's legit about this? It was very similar to Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, except it delivered because they announced this and then there was silence about it.
They were working
for years.
They were working.
And then boom, this came out. There were a couple rumors and leaks, but nothing confirmed.
What was when they showed their logo on the showcase, it's like that's all you needed to see. You don't, and then we saw more footage, but that logo in itself said it all.
And I mean, it's we keep saying it, 16 levels, full-fledged game. How long was your total completion time? Mine was like 14 or 15 hours.
15 plus.
Yeah. So, I mean, for a VR game, I actually think that's the perfect length. Looking forward to what we're going into with Asgard's Wrath 2. I mean, that might be even a little too overwhelming. Yeah. I think that this length of time was perfect, that I stayed engaged. It was reasonable enough to beat. I had a blast with it, but it never was a chore at any point.
No, I was able to play it and play other games, but I would just put some time in on this almost daily. They're generous with checkpoints, so it's a save point. Some chapters you mentioned there's 16. Some of them are not too long to go through, and others will take you a while to go through. And then you get your own gameplay style, because how I played the game when I started is not how I played it when I finished.
Yeah, I agree with that.
In the beginning, I was more of the traditional stealth as much as I can, blah, blah, blah. And at the end, I was more of like, shit, this is coming to an end. Let me mess with as many NPCs as I can. Got real good at the whistling, throwing stuff, and killing just for the sake of killing. Because I'm like, I'm going to get taken out of this memory, so I might as well do as much damage as I can while I'm here.
Well, full disclosure to my playtime, too, I think I easily could have doubled mine, if not more. I mean, those last, 5 or 6 levels, I really pushed through because I wanted to get it done. I could have easily doubled my playtime in each one of those, and I didn't get nearly close to finding all of the little hidden items.
Hell no.
I think most of my extra playtime in this definitely came from exploring. And same as you, going out of my way to kill everyone.
Yeah, because again, it's like this experience is coming to an end. So let's say I had 15 hours. I probably did, 10 hours of legit playing like a stealthy assassin while completing all the missions, and then
5 hours of messing around.
5 hours of just being heinous, going backtracking. Because I was like,
you see
I
the guy
missed
pop up
one.
in your thing.
I'm like, he looks alone. And nothing gives me better satisfaction than standing on a roof. You see them light up, so they're in the kill zone, and just having that weapon out and just shink.
And what I'll give them credit is so right when you boot up the game for the first time, like you said, you see that logo, you see the Assassin's Creed Nexus screen. You're like, oh man, I already have good hopes. And we had talked about this a few weeks ago on a Monday morning on a VR news episode, but they do one of the best onboardings I've seen. They really ask you, your experience levels with VR in terms of comfort. They give you a pre-selected template based off of that, but then there's quite a bit of different accessibility options to really
play it sitting.
Yeah, they even have a hand stabilizing,
which I didn't expect, by the way.
What, to be able to play sitting? No, not in a parkour game like this. But they have that option, and they even had a hand stabilizer setting. That's really cool. They really went pretty far with that aspect, and the onboarding of it was really good too. And when you load into the game, I gotta say, they don't show the best of the game right at the start. It starts with like flat screen talking heads and some dialogue like that, and in mixed reality mode. And you're like, oh, is this how all of the in between cutscenes and dialogue is going to take place? Like these flat screen talking heads, I don't think that that's what I was looking forward to. But very quickly after that, that aspect's gone, and it's all the cutscenes are in like, you know, a full 3D VR environment. So
I think from start to finish, they did a remarkable job of never flatlining. It was this constant build up, and literally right from the beginning, because we both noted, we were like, "Ah, dude, I didn't want to see like a TV set." I kind of get why they did everything the way they did, because then it quickly changes.
Yeah, but I'll say, so if you got into that first 10, 15 minutes, you're like, ugh, this is not taking it. Just stay tuned.
Well, there's no way you'd stop because you're not even at the title screen yet.
Correct. And there are other times that you enter for a moment, again, that kind of like flat screen mode, but it's to kind of go into a dialogue sequence.
It makes sense.
And they do a good job of having a VR interactive puzzle in order to get to that as well, in between each dialogue call, which isn't in abundance.
There's only
either.
I think three or four times.
Well, you'll do like 2 or 3 missions, and then you'll have one, and then 2 or 3 missions and have one. So it's not too overwhelming. I actually started to look forward to them. They got a little difficult at the end. So,
but they give you a cheat sheet.
Yeah. It just shows you how to follow which ones to
just do what it
follow.
says on the paper.
Would you believe that? I think I didn't notice that until like my second puzzle.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Well, because the first puzzles, it's pretty obvious.
So easy. Then I'm like, how am I supposed to figure this out?
But then once it becomes more like, 24 dots, you're like, huh? And then, so I agree. The first one, I just was like, well, I know what you want me to do.
Yeah.
There's clearly a line telling me. But then it changed after that.
But it follows a good story as well. You mentioned it just kept building up. I'll say friend of the podcast, Guanatu, one of the editors over at Android Central.
I always see his articles, dude.
Yeah.
I'll read something and I'm not clicking on him per se.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, oh, what's this article?
Mm-hmm.
And I start reading it, and then I'll read who it was written by, and I'll be like, no shit, man, another one.
Yeah, him and Henry Stockdale both crush it. Henry Stockdale from Upload VR. Both of them pop in our Discord, but Guanatu, Nick, he kept hyping up that the game only gets better and better.
I was finding
it
hard to believe.
And then he was like, the ending, and he was really hyping it up, and it's true. The game just gets better every moment, which was a lot of incentive to keep going. I'm like, man, I keep hearing this ending is so good, I got to get to it. And it wasn't anything I had to force through to get. Every chapter was fun.
It was drawing you in, man.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I mean, knowing that you were coming to the end, right? It's like that just adds to the overall. They could have picked one of 12 different endings, and I wouldn't have been upset with any of them, because I had in my own head how I thought it was going to end and come together. I'm like, makes sense. And then I'm like, oh, okay, we're taking a little left turn, are we? Didn't see this coming. And then even then, and we won't spoil anything, but I have a different perspective of the ending than maybe others would, based on like the bigger picture. But I will say nothing.
We had some back and forth about it, definitely. But just to give a little brief synopsis on this story without any spoilers, you load in and you're a hacker who's being contracted by Abstergo, a central villain arc in the Assassin's Creed world. But you're a double agent. You're a hacker. You work for nobody. Guess what? The assassins want you as well. So you're kind of doing some work for the assassins, actually. Good luck. Think of it. You're a double agent. This can only go bad in so many ways. But basically what Abstergo wants you to do is help them find these artifacts to complete their online, pretty much cloud server of the Animus, which throughout the Assassin's Creed series, the Animus device is how you load into these genetic memories. So with their cloud, they would be able to access any memory from any point. It's a pretty big deal to them. So you're being contracted to help them do it because, look, sometimes you got to get your hands a little dirty to get the job done, right? So, that's kind of the the initial start of it, but she explains, the person that you're working for, that you're going to be visiting 3 assassins throughout the game, and they're previous existing assassins to the series. You're going to be visiting Ezio. You're going to be visiting Connor, which was really cool to visit VR Boston, but so was Ezio with Italy. And then you're also going to be playing as Kassandra in ancient Greece. So visiting Athens, seeing the Spartans, that's so freaking badass. So they did a great job selecting their characters. The 2 that I have previous connection with is definitely Ezio and Connor. I'd never played the Assassin's Creed game with Kassandra as well, but they did a good job winning me over with it. So you're going to visit throughout 16 chapters. You're going to visit these 3 characters, memories of theirs, in search of these artifacts needed for Abstergo to complete their cloud drive. What I like is that they don't do, here's 4 Ezio missions, here's 4 Connor, it rotates. You might do 2 Ezio, then 2 Connor, then 2 Kassandra, then go back to Ezio. It really hops around in a way that keeps it fresh. And each environment is so unique. It's not like the whole time in all the Ezio ones, you're in the same part of Italy. No, you're going to go visit Venice. And Connor, you're going to go to Newport, Rhode Island. You're going to go to Boston. With Kassandra, you're going to visit Athens, some other spots that I won't lie. I kind of slip up exactly where they take you all over ancient Greece, but it's cool. It keeps it fresh. Every memory you go into is totally new with the environment. And minus, the first couple memories that are more of a tutorial, each memory is pretty open world. It's like, I don't have any frame of size, but you can go pretty far in each direction and find explorable areas, or go right to your mission, or do your side stuff. And for people that are fans of the Assassin's Creed series, they remember the leap of faiths. There's going to be a marked location that you got to climb up to. It's a super tall spot, and you use that location to scan the area to unlock more explorable area. Guess what? You get to do that in VR, and doing your leap of faith after in VR is the coolest shit imaginable. And then they stay true to the series with gameplay. You have your parkour, you have your assassin kills. What's cool is the parkour is a little assisted, which I didn't think I would like, but I think it makes for a very smooth experience. I don't think it would be the best if they made you do it all manual. You'll be running, then you just hold A.
No, they have to have jump assist.
You really got to.
Same. I mean, yeah. There was, at this point in VR, 100%.
And,
maybe down the road.
For us, I know it was the same for you as me. We had no comfort settings on those jumps, but if that sounds like it would be a little intense for you, there's plenty of comfort settings to help deal with that. And then they have the classic climbing mechanics and everything like that, which I won't lie, might be one area that you might see some jank in the game. I did have issues at times with gripping. I don't know if that ever happened to you.
It happened once, along with not being able to complete a puzzle. And then I just organically had to restart the headset.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, the climbing was great. And I almost feel like the climbing was better by the end of the game than when I started. So I don't know.
Like they got a rhythm of it?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they did anything on the back end. I don't remember seeing any update or whatever, but it just seemed like, wow, the climbing seems a lot more. Or maybe just because I've got 15 hours of climbing. Because don't get it twisted, 75 to 80% of my time in this game is spent on rooftops. I don't freaking run the streets, I want to know where everybody is. If there's something high up to climb, even if it's not the standard leap of faith, I'm still climbing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see. These places are huge.
They're beautiful too. When you see
the level of detail is absurd.
The amount of NPCs vibrantly in it, like you referenced previously on a previous episode, that opening scene when you first actually hit the title scene after the initial tutorial, and you see the amount of NPCs in the overview, it's insane.
Yeah, give you goosebumps, man.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful, beautiful game. So I agree, climbing and seeing all that scenery, it's essential for the series, and it's where the scenery is the best.
If they didn't have it, you're 100%. I mean, it's not Assassin's Creed.
And there's a good visual indication for where you can actually grab. You know, when you go to grab something, if you can grab it, you'll see like a little white circle, and you'll get used to it. There's
I learned at almost any edge.
You can usually
like the face of a building, you might not be able to climb, but the corner of it, yeah, you can shimmy right up. Unless it's a rounded edge, and then you'll go, okay, I obviously can't.
What I'll say is it stays pretty consistent with how it was in the base series. You can even sometimes see some visual indications of like there's a brick that's a little out, you know?
Yep.
So people that have played a lot of Assassin's Creed previously are probably going to be able to hop into it and not rely on those white circles as well.
Then you can monkey climb, like do the big pull yourself up super high.
And what's cool is there is a difference in height if you use one hand or two hand with the pull and push yourself up. There's times I tried it with one hand, didn't go high enough, did it with two hands, and did go high enough.
I remember in the tutorial, they make you do that at some point.
The tutorial does a very good job, you know, walking you through everything. And I will say with the grabbing stuff, there's an initial calibration when you load into the game each time where they're like, extend your arms and press this button for sitting and this arm for standing. It's very important to extend your arms out fully and do the proper calibration with it. That's a big source of gripping issues for
might not be able to grab stuff if you're sitting but really standing, or
if you press the wrong button or you just don't calibrate right, you know, it might mess up your gameplay experience. Not it might, it will. And then I also did hear people say that this never happened to me because I don't go in the Oculus browser too much, but apparently if you opened up the browser and then closed the browser and then went into Nexus, you could get some stuttering in the game that you would, if you restarted your headset, it would go away. So I never experienced that, but anecdotally, don't go playing around in the Oculus browser before going into Nexus. And if you do, restart your headset first, or else you might have some stuttering. I heard some reports of stuttering and stuff like that. I never really had it myself, but most times I played, I was going right into Assassin's Creed 2 from Assassin's Creed Nexus from turning on my headset.
That was a lot of day one talk too. It seemed to like die off pretty rapidly.
Well, they did have a 1.01 patch, you know.
That might have also been what hit the climbing.
And I didn't even notice the patch come. I just saw it actually today on the store page on the release notes. I'm like, damn, there was a patch like 19 days ago? Didn't even know. So interesting. But yes,
I had no stuttering.
Maybe that's why it got smoother in the end levels.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's totally possible. But, you know, the climbing's good in it. They're pretty true to the series with stealth kills. You can sneak up behind people, hidden blade them. You can jump from a distance onto them. They give you, not right away. This is a kind of a spoiler.
It's a spoiler.
But
I already know where you're going with it.
But you can see it because there's an upgrade section in the game. So if you're on level 2 and you pause the game, you'll see upgrades at the top. And then it's very clear that you're getting the things that they're saying because they go, here's more arrows.
So we'll only ruin it for the people who haven't played it.
Yeah, but it's very, very clear. Well, also, hey, these were in the series. So if you didn't have them with the respective character,
you justify it any way you want.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I'm not saying it.
But you do get with each character a ranged weapon, and you have throwing knives on your chest too, which you gave me the greatest tip that you can pick up your arrows or your bolts and your knives after you hit somebody with them.
Yeah, as long as the NPC doesn't go away. Because
yes.
if you throw a knife and you're spotted or they find the body, the minute they stop looking for the body disappears.
And then so does your weapon.
So you got to make sure you like sneak over and grab your shit out and put it back in your inventory.
If you get the kill with one of those, like the throwing knife, and you know you're not spotted, it's instant kill unless they're a brute enemy.
Which you have to hit them twice.
Yep. But throughout the game, again, it says it on the upgrades, you can eventually assassinate brutes, which is convenient as well, but that's not something you can do right away. Mm-hmm. So it's cool too. As you expand through the level, your characters, they get more, you know.
You can assassinate them, but I don't think with
the throwing knives. You have to do it with the hidden blade.
Correct. Yeah.
Either jumping down or sneaking up.
Throwing knives are always going to be a 2.
I love the hidden blades, but I think a lot of my kills came from the throwing knives and the crossbows.
I drowned a lot of motherfuckers.
Yeah, you told me that you love to throw people down from the ship because you can climb and grab their ankle.
In Boston?
Yeah. Dude, Boston, I went a little out of my way to kill those redcoats, you know? I did in all mine, but I was like, hey, you know, this one's just fun.
I stand at the airport and yell at people from England when they land.
This is like, you know, 4th grade history class.
I charge them tax. Tax them.
The only thing I couldn't do is tar and feather. And besides that, I basically lived through my 4th grade history class, you know?
Well, it's wicked cool. And true to the franchise, their historical accuracy is spot on. They go out of their way to do a ton of research before they just...
Real historical characters.
If you look at that harbor in Boston and then look at like real old pictures and shit, it's like they did a good freaking job, man. Even with the tall ships around and stuff. And it's like for the time period, I mean, let's be honest, you could make it however you want. We weren't there. We'll never be there. It's all just based on...
No, but they're very big for having source material.
Data. Yeah, dude. So
Again,
it's like you almost feel like every place that you get to visit in Assassin's Creed is pretty legit for the time period.
Absolutely. And again, real historical
None of
people.
them I'd want to live in.
It's funny, you can't mess with the historical figures in any Assassin's Creed game. Same with civilians. If you kill 2 civilians wicked close together, they're like, boop, restart you.
Can't be trusted.
If you're messing with a real historical figure, you know, you have, I don't even want to give spoilers or nothing, but, you know, sometimes they give you a nice little love tap away. They're like, get the fuck out of here. But if you keep messing with them, it'll desynchronize you and you'll have to restart from the last checkpoint. So you can't go kill an important central figure. Right.
But you would change history too.
Yep. And that's not the point of Assassin's Creed.
It's not why you're there.
Exactly. You're there to take part in, you know, inspired by real events with some obviously fictional creativity involved into it.
A little bit.
But it was really cool to visit each different environment. They also give you like a scan feature as well, just to keep outlining the gameplay, what's left of it at least. If you press one of the buttons, it does like a scan in the area and it'll show you any enemy in the area with like a distance to them, as well as like visual markers if there's a key to
I
find.
think it's the same exact sound they use in flat screen too.
Yep, very true to the series. So then you can see like there's a chest to go find, this thing to go get. There's also a lock picking feature, which I hated it at first.
I loved it, dude.
And then it won me over. Yeah, absolutely, it won me over.
This is freaking. I was so smooth with it.
I sucked at it at first. I mean, it took me. I was like, dude, it's not working. I'm doing something. But you really get a hang with it.
Just pay attention to what you're doing.
Yep,
It'll become real obvious.
You grab with both hands. You know, one hand selects the kind of like level of it because there's 4 different layers, or well, depending on the complexity of the lock, you know, 2 to 4 or whatever. And then the other hand, you kind of like move to find the sweet spot on it. And it's a really cool mechanic. Again, it grew on me. And oftentimes in those chests and things that you pickpocket, you'll find the bonus things, you know, you need to collect, or more arrows, more throwing knives,
smoke bombs. Depending on your character.
I didn't use the smoke bombs enough, and every time I did, I was like, these things are freaking sweet. Because you're getting like, okay, so the combat in the game is pretty true to Assassin's Creed series. I beat the first couple Assassin's Creed pressing X to parry, and every time the person attacked, then I attacked. I beat the game like that. So in this game, it's very like almost turn-based combat. You'll see the guy swing at you in slow motion. You block it or parry it, which I sucked at parrying. And then you hit them, rinse and repeat. Or you can just go in and swing. Eventually they fall. I did that a bunch too, I won't lie. So
there was some I don't think you could get away with that though.
Where I couldn't is when I was getting swarmed.
Because if it's one of the attacks where the only option for you is to dodge it because you can't block it.
Correct.
You're not going in there slashing shit.
Correct. Yeah, there are some unblockable attacks.
So don't think you're going to stand there and just no.
But you know, there is combat difficulty settings and everything like that. But a lot of people did say
like normal mode.
Like, look, the combat isn't the most complex part of the game or anything. And yeah, I get that, but it's kind of true. The combat's never been the most complex part of Assassin's Creed series, at least the originals. You know, it was good enough. It's not the most intricate sword fighting features in VR. I think that the assassination elements of it, whether that's sneaking up with the hidden blade, jumping down, bow and arrow, throwing knives, those are much cleaner mechanics in VR than their implementation of combat, but it's not bad by any means.
You can block, you can strike, you can dodge, So, I mean,
it does the job.
And it's part of that balance they have between going on of like, we'll say historical accuracy, the reason why you're there, and what you're currently doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it all blends. I can't criticize them for the.
And I won't lie. I mean, total honesty. There were times that I had 4 or 5 people coming at me, and it wasn't the easiest.
No, there's a couple of specific ones I remember where it's like forced fight. You have no choice. Like shit. There's a few of those.
Oh, and then they have those bells. So if you alert a guy and he starts running and there's a bell nearby, he can ring it.
Yep.
And it calls a whole shit ton of people, but you can cut that bell down before that as well. So that's nice.
And so many hiding spots too.
Yeah. There's so much like you can spend so long in each level, more than just doing the missions.
I could, like, realistically, if I were going to complete every little detail of it and do every parkour
challenge, shooting challenges,
on each chapter and such, then
shooting challenges,
I'm probably at 30 hours.
And then there's these historical construct things that, you'll just see this like pixelated looking thing. You grab it and it gives you like some real historical information about the environment you're in.
This is a cannon.
Yes, about the way ships worked in the colonial area, which I love that stuff. You get like a nice little educational element mixed in with your gaming. Hell yeah, give that to me.
Well, they go out of their way to, and I think it's just part of their flex too, to let you know, like, look, we took the care to. There's probably so much going on in just the scenery that we as consumers, just go, oh, that's beautiful. But, for all we know, like, this particular flower is the only time this flower grew, and this is the region it grew in. So it wouldn't surprise me to how the brick shading is on the brick buildings in Boston. It's like, I can't knock them, dude. They really went out of their way to.
And there were some graphical things, like sometimes if you open up the chest and you'll see like what's supposed to be the gold in the inside, it looks so pixelated and
flat
unobvious.
picture. Yeah.
But think of it, if you were playing in the flat screen version, you would never see to that close up the gold either. So, it could even
be face in the chest. Yeah. You can't.
And like there are times, you might walk up to a building and it doesn't look as high res. Like it looks a little pixelated, but the game overall is graphically beautiful to me, especially from a distance when you're overlooking everything. I'm like, wow, that's a 10 out of 10 right there visually, and the story in it is very well done. It kept me captivated. I enjoyed the ending a lot. It wasn't too long. Like I said, it was like the perfect length, good voice acting, good writing. It's cool because you have the main overlying, story with you being the hacker and doing this job. But then each chapter has its own individual story, whether that's a festival in Venice or messing with the Brits in the revolution or doing stuff for Athens. Each memory is its own story and they jump around in time quite a bit too. So it's enough to keep you captivated for sure. Yeah, I had a great time with Assassin's Creed Nexus. I don't know if there's anything else we're missing with gameplay. They did a good variety of missions too. Your assassination missions, your fetch missions.
My least favorite
is I don't mind a fetch mission as much as I hate a follow mission. Get me away from a follow mission. When you have to follow the dude and stay.
Yeah. I'm on the fence between that or the. I guess I'd say follow's probably worse.
Because what sucks is
at least assassination, you can just bomb rush the guy and.
There was a couple of those though that you really had to stay hidden as you get close to them.
Both of them.
And there's the classic crowd element where you can hide in a crowd too. I love that element. That was very prevalent in the originals as well. And you really have to use that and climbing and getting to a hidden spot to take advantage of some of the assassinations. Great mission variety. I didn't believe it would be the case, but I actually agree. I think it only gets better as you go. The ending is freaking great. I'd love to have some discussion on that. I don't know
at what point is it
acceptable to
do that.
Yeah, we'll have a dedicated thread in our Discord server.
A spoiler thread.
Yeah, we have some spoiler threads.
Discord, definitely. On air.
And if anybody's watching on YouTube, don't go throw it in the comments in the live chat right now or anything like that. But I will say, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, rate us 5 stars. Don't forget to pop in our Discord, our Patreon, all that stuff. But yeah, great work from Ubisoft and Red Storm Entertainment. And I guess if there's any involvement in Meta as well with funding or anything else, I don't know the finer details of that. But look, a AAA developer studio brought a AAA franchise successfully with a full-fledged game to the Meta Quest. That is unbelievable.
I hope the folks that worked on it feel proud of what they did.
They should.
I mean, I'm sure even shitty games, people are celebrating that they did good. But in this case, look, you're a AAA studio outside of VR, so you're held a little stronger, I'd say, than like if Joe Blow had made this. It'd be the game of the century.
No, they were definitely held to a high standard. And you hear that, those critics, like you hear that standard when people complain about the combat or
they should be.
Yeah. But they delivered. I mean, great work to Ubisoft. Like we always do for reviews, let's take a moment. We'll go into a quick little ad break. We'll come back with our final thoughts and review. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's anything else we missed on the gameplay.
Those familiar with the franchise, it's a walk in the park for them, other than the fact that now you're really there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be so many people, this is their first experience with it, which I almost find hard to believe.
The only thing I wish wasn't prevalent in the game is when you hit a wall or a boundary area, it brought up like that Animus look where there's like the digital lines going everywhere.
I hated it at first.
I wish you could turn it off.
But as the story progressed, I was like, it's that separation between fake world and...
Because you're in a simulation in Assassin's Creed games. That's how it's always been. So it makes sense.
It's a good reminder of...
that. Yeah.
You're not where you think you are.
How crazy that you're playing a simulation in a VR game.
Maybe we're living in a simulation.
Even deeper.
While playing VR games.
But do you want to kick it off when we get back with your final thoughts and review first?
Yeah.
When we get back? All right. So we'll be back with you in just a moment from these sponsors that help keep the lights on besides yourself, the listeners. Thank you to everybody that tunes in each week. We gave an on-air shout out to our Patreon peeps on Monday. But again, you guys are all rock stars. Our mod team over on our Discord, you guys are all rock stars as well.
No joke.
Everybody that partakes in our Discord, it's such a great, non-toxic, awesome community with game meetups, hangouts, all that stuff. So if you're a listener of the show, you want a little extra spice of VR discussion in your life, or just food pics and cat pics and dog pics, all that fun stuff. Great movie discussion. Hey, the book sub channel in it gets quite a lot of activity. If you're a book fan, seems like that there's quite a bit of others in the Discord as well too. So
I got a book for Christmas.
Yeah, see, maybe you can post about that in there too. So go check out our Discord, our Patreon, go listen to these sponsors, and we'll be back with you with our final thoughts on Assassin's Creed Nexus.
Hey everyone. We're taking a quick little break from our usual VR chat today to focus on something incredibly exciting for Quest users. Our new sponsor, Soul Assembly, creators of the thrilling VR co-op game Drop Dead the Cabin, now enhanced for the MetaQuest 3, introduces an electrifying mixed reality experience. In Drop Dead the Cabin, as night descends and zombies come your way, the game offers more than just survival. It brings a groundbreaking mixed reality mode called Home Invasion. Imagine your living room becoming part of the game, with zombies crashing into your real-world environment. This fusion of the virtual and real world elevates your game to an extraordinary level. It's not just playing, it's experience the game in your living space. You'll still enjoy the classic game modes, either teaming up with a friend in 2-player co-op or facing the terror alone. But Home Invasion adds a thrilling twist, blending your reality with the intense world of the game. Get ready for an exhilarating journey of survival, both in the virtual world and right in your home. The game continuously evolves with new updates and features, keeping the excitement fresh. And the best part, you get to experience this unique mixed reality environment where every corner of your room could hide a new challenge. So if you're ready to test your skills in this mixed reality setting and see if you can survive the horde, check out Drop Dead the Cabin on the MetaQuest. Also, don't forget to join their Discord community to connect with other gamers and the developers themselves. We've also got a discount code for you for 10% off the game over the holidays, which can be applied at the checkout. That's going to be Ruff Talk Podcast -04A 2D That again is Ruff Talk Podcast -04A2D0. We can't wait to hear about your experiences, especially on the home invasion mixed reality mode. Dive into Drop Dead the Cabin today and see how you fare in this immersive new reality. And again, that's discount code Ruff Talk Podcast -04A2D0 at checkout for an additional 10% off. It's Santa time. The season for a fresh cut is finally here with the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have just launched their 5th-generation lawnmower to help you avoid another silent night in the bedroom this year. Take care of your special snowflake with Manscaped and watch your South Pole shine like never before. Get the best stocking stuffer of all by going to manscaped.com and using the code word RuffTalkVR for 20% off plus free shipping. Mrs. Claus will thank you. What could be better than giving the gift of good hygiene and a few laughs? Starting with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, this is the crown jewel of the holidays, and dare I say the best ball trimmer of all time. The electric razor's advanced skin-safe technology is a lifesaver and known for reducing nicks and cuts on his Santa sack. But the fun doesn't stop there. Anybody in the family have too much scruff? Look no further than Manscaped Beard Hedger Pro Kit and Handyman Electric Face Shaver for all his facial hair needs. Dad have those nasty nose hairs? Save the day with the Weed Whacker 2.0 nose and ear hair trimmer. Is there boxer game week? Take care of the chestnuts with Manscaped's Boxers 2.0, featuring their signature jewel pouch to keep you calm, cool, and collected. Have their nails seen better days? Manscaped has you covered with the new Shears 3.0 nail grooming kit. You can get 20% off plus free shipping with the code RuffTalkVR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com for just using the code RuffTalkVR. Say ho 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 to a well-groomed mistletoe with Manscaped.
And we are back. Like we said, now we'll go into our final thoughts and our review. I apologize if we missed anything on the inner workings of this game, but hopefully it's something you have to experience yourself. But, we covered some gameplay, some accessibility, the graphical elements, the story elements. I think it's about time we get into the final thoughts. So you kick it off, sir. Like always, we have our 5 categories, actually. Gameplay, aesthetics, functionality, replayability, and value. So let's hear it. You kick it off, sir.
All right. This was a fun one to friggin' look forward to. The anticipation leading up to it was friggin' next level. Couldn't be more happy that I completed it. So with that, we have gameplay. I give it a 20. And why do I give it a 20? Because I believe they exceeded what I thought I'd be able to do in VR under the Assassin's Creed brand. And I feel like they really freaking pulled it off. And not just to pull it off, but let's flex with a total of 3 characters instead of like, if it was just 1 character, I would have been content. But no, there's freaking 3. And each has a unique element as well. So I got to give them a 20. I never felt it like repetitive to the point. I didn't look forward to certain things like you didn't, but 20 for gameplay. Aesthetics. This is going to sound so stupid, but I give him a 19. And you know why I give him a 19? Because I will take that one off, and it's so petty. But the only areas where the game didn't look great is kind of what you brought up when you open a chest and you look in it and you see like the flat gold, which if on flat screen, you'd be like, oh, there's coin in there and such. But at a true fairness, because if I were to be like, no, best graphics ever, someone's going to come and be like, really, you're going to overlook a couple of those little things. So a 19 on aesthetics. Functionality, for everything going on, for everything they pulled off, which I'm amazed and I find impressive, but I give them an 18. And it's like, why would you give them an 18? It's like, well, if I had gone into this with completionist in mind, I hit a point where there was something I needed to get and I couldn't get it. Remember, I was talking about a gravitational error. I've never seen anything like it. I wish I had recorded it. And it just like, I was thinking like, wow, if I was never able to get that, then that'd be a problem as far as game completion. But aside from what to some could really be a major problem by not being able to get an item. And maybe if I go back and play it again, I'll find out if in fact, because that was kind of my intention, was to get through it and then go back and fill in the pieces. So I'm hoping and praying, but first run through, I give them an 18. Replayability, right off the bat, it's 50-50. So I'd have to give them a 10, but they kind of give you a little extra incentive to go in, because not only do you have all the historical artifacts you can find and all that, but they also have the friggin' shooting challenges, and they have the parkour challenges. So I could see going, okay, I'm just going to go into each chapter and just nail off the parkour, and then I'll go back another time. So I give them a 15. I also want to go back in and play it at a harder difficulty, to really test out the intensity of the NPC. Value for money. I know by standards of VR that we've become accustomed to over the years, one would go, this is a more expensive game, but for the amount of gameplay you're getting, I mean, we can do the math right now. I mean, 15 hours for me. If I want to complete it, it's another 15. If I want to get like every little nook and cranny of the game done, put that in comparison to a movie ticket for 30 hours. It's 15 movies at like, I don't even know what movies cost in the theater now, but it can't be cheap. So you're looking at some serious fucking money. So value for money for what they gave me for entertainment. I'll even say a little knowledge. Never walked around the streets of Boston in 1776. Never killed the redcoats for coming into my city. I give them a 20, dude. I mean, I really think Ubisoft exceeded everyone's expectations. Just based on what we're accustomed to, I think we might have even lowered our own mental bars to go, well, nobody else has done it right. So 20, 19, 18, 15, 20, and 92.
Ooh, that's not bad.
No.
That's a good score.
No, I found it really, and again, it seems petty to be like, I'm taking one off for aesthetics, but if that's the only area that I saw anything that remotely looked like, I mean, what can I do? It's like just 1 point.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it though. I think it's very well justified.
Well, I think it's honest.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the game's solid in so many ways, but you got to be honest about, you know, what goes on with functionality.
Yeah, I'd hate to say, dude, it's a 20, and then someone buys it,
it's 100
and they open up
100.
a chest, and they're like, I don't need a screenshot.
And you said you had
DM.
that glitch too, and you still gave. No, we got to be honest.
Yeah,
got to be honest.
Totally.
For integrity. So, you know, and it's also interesting to say, usually for a story-based game like this, we wouldn't have replayability, but in this case, you know, they did such a good job with incentive to go back in that, you know what, it was justifiable to keep it, and that's not common. So huge props to them. But to get into it, gameplay, I think that was the easiest category for this one. You know, I had such a blast exploring, being an assassin, hunting like an assassin, doing the missions, everything involved with the game, that it's a clear 20 out of 20 with gameplay for me. Easiest category. It feels like Assassin's Creed in VR. They pulled it off. I can't believe it. So something I was so skeptical of, the parkour is fun, the assassinations are fun, everything in the game is fun. Gameplay, 20 out of 20. Aesthetics, I would love to give them a clean 20 out of 20. I think when you're looking over at a high distance, or you're looking at something from a distance, it's a max score without a doubt. But of course, like I referenced, there's some more pixelated areas like the chests, or some of the more up close textures on the walls and the bricks and stuff like that do hold it back from being a clean 20 out of 20, but it is still unbelievably visually impressive, giving me the choice, or I'm deciding to leave it an 18 out of a 20 on aesthetics. Almost perfect, but some small visual hiccups, that's enough to keep away a perfect score, but I think it's still enough to say that the game is visually impressive. So 18 on aesthetics. I'm going to give it for functionality. You know, I didn't have any game-breaking glitches. Luckily, I didn't have a glitch that I couldn't pick up the piece like you or anything like that. But there were occasional minor, you know, hiccups on climbing or certain interactions or even assassination kills. Sometimes there's a little stutter with it, or I went to go jump down with the assassins or the hidden blade, and it didn't quite go into them right. Nothing that was game breaking or anything that prevented a mission, but enough that it was observable. So much so that I'm going to give them a 17 out of a 20 on functionality. Not anything game breaking, just minor little like hiccups that you probably will encounter if you complete the whole game. In terms of replayability, very odd, like I said, that we're including this as a story-based game with this category, but it's because they did such a good job incentivizing you to go back in, whether that be through harder difficulties or going back in to get the rest of the stuff. I can tell you right now, I've beaten the game. I'm not done with it. I need to go back in and get some more of those collectibles, revisit those scenes and everything. So I'm going to actually give them, and this might be one of my more controversial ratings in our history of this, but again, ratings are for me personally. This is a game I'm going to go back in, experience more, go back in, find all the collectibles. I'm giving them, for me personally, a 15 out of a 20 there. And then value, probably the second easiest category at a little bit higher of a price tag at $39.99. Worth every freaking penny. I'm giving them a 20 out of 20 on value, making the final score 20, 18, 17, 15, and 20, giving them a final score of 90 out of 100. So not bad from Ubisoft.
Good job.
Yeah, what was that? 92 or 90? 92 from you?
Yep.
And a 90 out of me. And now we got Reggie popping in here to say hi, close out the show as well. So one of the best game releases of the year coming in out of nowhere. I mean, at the end of the year, boom. I did not expect this to be as good as it was.
No.
Lived up to all the expectation, the hype.
I really didn't think it could live up to the hype of a true Assassin's Creed game. And honestly, I'd rather play it in VR than on flat screen.
They took everything I love about the series and the characters of the series and brought it to VR. So huge props to Ubisoft, huge props to Meta, huge props to Red Storm Entertainment. And if you're a fan of VR, you're a fan of the Assassin's Creed series, I mean, I highly recommend it. This is on one of my best games in VR list, without a doubt. So anything else you want to say before we...
I was getting some Reggie love.
Yeah, he's popping in. He's like, come on, guys. Let me outside, Come on, buddy. All right, so...
Yeah, he knows the wrap-up.
Yeah. All right, so thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and check you out next week. Subscribe, rate us 5 stars, whether that be on YouTube, your
Smash that YouTube button,
that
bro.
subscribe button. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and join that Discord. Check you out next week. Ciao, ciao.
Take care.